pictures of kids at camps, or, you know, just making a whole bunch of pancakes one morning and getting a whole bunch of people out and raising funds that way, or, you know, just maybe not even raising funds, just putting smiles on people's faces. Whatever your means, whatever your skills, whatever your contacts now, you can take all of that and transform it into whatever you want.
Music inspired me.
Travel actually inspired me.
I'm really fond of art, so and music. I study music.
What inspires me is actually this place and the beauty of nature.
The biggest thing that inspires me is my family.
My family.
My parents.
It's because they always support me no matter what decision I make. So that's one of the big things in life.
As we continued on our journey, we made it to the East Coast, where we went to Kentville, Nova Scotia, and met up with Andy Northup and John Andrews, the runners of a program called Open Arms.
From the Cold and how it began.
Okay. In from the Cold is or was an initiative of Open Arms. And how long ago did we start? Not last winter, but the following winter we did just a trial run. It uses 7 different churches. So if there's a homeless person that night, they go to that church. And the homeless person gets a couple of meals and a safe place to sleep.
And the idea was to function as, I mean, what I guess community chaplains would be kind of the term people would be familiar with, but really just to stand in the gap and be advocates for people who were really stuck. Needed someone to go to court for them, needed someone to help them get a job. Some people are quite paranoid and maybe have mental health issues, but other people might just be illiterate, and to try to bridge those gaps. One of our friends traipsed up the road with this guy, introduced us to this guy, and said, "This guy has nowhere to go tonight." And so we gave that guy a place to stay, and then evolved for a couple of years into being a shelter 7 nights a week. Well, I mean, one of the things that's challenging and difficult, and I think where probably a lot of people hit a wall, is we started doing the work and really believing that it was the right thing to do on all kinds of different levels. But then, as Andy mentioned, I mean, nobody really supported us. We went to churches to see if we could find a space to do some of this stuff, and at first people are looking at you kind of sideways because it's kind of new, especially, you know, in this area that was a new kind of concept. And you know, it was frustrating for us because we just thought, well, we just are concerned about people right now, and you know, that seems so much more important than liability issues. However, we persevered through that. We found ourselves, and a couple of volunteers slowly began to trickle in, doing it almost alone. But the reality is, until people see it happening and working, they aren't going to get on board. For us, it was it was really the first people. It was almost like that, you know, trying to convince people to get on an airplane if they haven't seen one. It was just like it was impossible to make happen.
Last question is actually, is there something that you've learned about yourself throughout this?
I don't know who said it, but somebody said somewhere along the line that we're all much more the same than we are different. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that I've learned, am learning. Everybody's broken in some sort of way, and we all, you know, need to help one another. You know, you just realize that you're not here to ride in on your horse and be a savior. You just come in quietly and you just journey with people.
Barriers just saying, I don't think I can, well, somebody else will do it, or
Restrictions that people put on themselves.
Private funding, the money, it's important.
Being ridiculed or something like that, something along those lines.
I think a common barrier is saying, I can't do it.
I think is they don't know where to start, and they need the support of everyone around them, and it's hard to put an idea out there if you don't know that somebody's going to actually go for it with you.
I think that people think always like, oh, I'm just one person, what can I do, how can I change the world? It's like, how can I change 10 people, how can I change 100 people? I can't.
Our last stop before reaching home was Toronto, Ontario, where we met up with Neve Timburi, who, although has not started her own charity project, she contributes a lot to her community through her volunteerism in various other projects.
So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about the First Generation Project?
Sure. The First Generation Project is something new here at U of T Scarborough. It is a project aimed at supporting students who would be the first in their family to go to post-secondary in Canada, whether that's college, university, apprenticeship, whatever that might be. Especially if your parents have not gone to post-secondary here, you wouldn't have information about the resources on how to get there.
And so, like, what kind of events have you done or programs do you run?
Well, one of the things we've done is, or had a couple of times, is a day in the life. It's a really fun event. It's a day in the life of a university student. For one group of youth who go to school in the community, it was their class trip, and they just spent a day on campus. They got to listen to a workshop about post-secondary. They got a tour of the campus to see, what this place really is. They got to sit on a lecture, got to go to the gym and do a hip-hop workshop, all of that kind of stuff, just to show them that it's not this, building that they'll never get to.
And then you're also involved in like a whole bunch of, like a few other things. What are a couple of ones you're also involved in?
One thing I'm involved in off campus is the host program. And what it is that youth who live in Canada are matched up with newcomer youth. When you're a newcomer and you don't know the language, you don't know anyone, you don't have anyone to talk to or anything, It's really hard.
I mean, like, what are like the big difference you find between like the people, like the new immigrants coming in? Like, is there a lot of like things surprise you?
I think that it's really cool to see Toronto through someone's eyes who's never been here before. The person who I've been matched with, she sees so much beauty in certain things, or she's so surprised by certain things, and it's really like rediscovering the city that I live in with someone who's never been here before.
Do you find it hard trying to get other people to be involved?
It's hard to get students involved with things that take a lot of their time. It's definitely hard trying to convince them to pry them away from their books during midterms or something.
Maybe like if you wanted to give like some advice to someone who is maybe trying to get volunteers for something, how do you find the people who are interested in your help?
I would say that if you're trying to outreach and get volunteers, I would say that get used to rejection and know that it is okay.
What do you think is the best thing that you get out of your volunteering?
I think the best thing that I get out of it is that it's like this opportunity to see what a little bit of your time and efforts can pay off, like in huge rewards, I guess. It's amazing to see how people feel, when they receive that support, and then what they can then accomplish because of it.
You can organize a lot of events there, and you can get a group of people together.
I think the best way is to give them a venue to express themselves.
By being positive themselves, I don't know.
They could join the project.
Get to the real issues of things.
They could create programs for people to join if they all think the same way. There's
I think probably community meetings, just perhaps to say anybody who is concerned, we don't necessarily know what we're going to do, but to a town hall meeting.
It would be good if there was more centres and stuff where they could be a bit more creative, so they could go and, in groups and discuss.
I think being more inclusive, accepting everybody.
Opportunities. By creating opportunities.
Just as you have landed here, do you mean to fly away? You only got here yesterday. Asha, what do you mean to me? Asha, what do you mean? Asha, what do you mean to me? Asha, what do you mean? Do you mean the falling rain? Come to ease you through your pain. Do you mean the setting sun?
Hi there, it's Robin. And I'm Susie. And we're from the Pants Project. We're doing our post-trip reflections right now. Other than navigation, because navigation was a big part of our trip. We had a GPS who sometimes cooperated and sometimes didn't.
Sometimes putting us at the lake.
Sometimes tried to kill us, but it kept things interesting.
That's true.
I'll give it that.
Kept us happy. I learned a lot about being open-minded, about meeting people and about different views and opinions, and the importance of helping others and being passionate about things. And
Well, I think that I just learned what's possible, what's impossible, and everything in between.
I think we realized that most of the stressful things, but at the trip we're like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal.
I didn't remember them. So there you
Yeah,
go.
and don't let all your like worries and negativity stop you from trying something you want to do.
At the end of the day, you have to believe in what you're doing, or else you're just not going to make it through.
Let things inspire you, and don't be afraid of things going wrong or what other people say. If something inspires you, go with it.
If you have a goal, try to reach it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You fail, you try again.
Arizona, you were gonna change the world, and then you changed your mind.